Hi, this is a message for women in their 40s. So, as a woman who is in my mid to late 40s, I just wanted to talk about some of the changes that have surprised me quite a bit. Um, I did expect my life to change, but I didn't expect it to change in this way. And I think, for me, I think this is the best time of my life. And I say that for various reasons. There's a lot of challenges that come with being a woman in your mid 40s, but I think there are also a lot of wonderful things. So I'm just going to start off by talking about one or two changes that I've noticed as I've sort of crossed the 45 line and sort of etching towards the big 50, making sort of different transitions in my life. But one of the things that I didn't expect, one of the changes that I didn't expect, was the change in my emotions, right? So what I've noticed is that I don't know if it's perimenopause. I don't know whether it's a hormonal thing that's going on, but I do find that my emotions have become a lot more volatile. So they're a lot more up and they're a lot more down. Um, and they can get a lot more volatile at certain times of the month. So as we come towards that time of the month, oh my God, I am a raging beast. Small things, tiny things can make me fly off the handle. My son, who's 8, right, is very good at pressing those buttons, right? Those of you who've got 8-year-old boys, you know, I don't know if it's just mine, but he just happens to know how to press those buttons that can make me just fly off the handle. So I have noticed that when I start to get a bit irritable, start flying off the handle, often it's a sign that, it's that time of the month. But it's not just that time of the month. I do find that my emotions just, things that didn't used to overwhelm me now overwhelm. It might be tiny little things. I used to be so organized, but now sometimes I find, I'm a lot more chaotic. Things can, I used to be able to sit down and read a book. Now I'm finding it harder to kind of concentrate on reading a book. I find my emotions have just, there's like an emotional explosion that's happened. And I can't even pinpoint where it happened. I'm just starting to feel that, I'm just no longer as emotionally grounded as I used to be. And I think this is the time that you need to give yourself lots of grace, right? Because I think initially I would get so frustrated around, why can't I just manage this? Why is this so overwhelming for me? But what I've noticed, what I've started to do is to give myself a lot of grace, give myself a lot of time, give myself a lot of space. Sometimes, social interaction, being in social situations can become really, really overwhelming. I kind of have to know when to retreat. I kind of have to know when to say to everybody, please just go do your own thing. I just need some space for myself. So yeah, I think my emotions have surprised me the most, you know. And I think what is needed, at this stage of your life, if you're a woman in your mid to late 40s, going through these sort of transitions, keep an eye on your emotions, because I think it's very easy for people to say, oh, sometimes I get these comments from people around me, oh, mommy, are you stressed? Or mommy, you're yelling? Or, is everything okay? You get this reaction of, calm down, kind of a thing. And, and I think some people might be feeling, all the rage. And I'm appealing to people who may have a woman, a mother, a sister, a wife who's going through these changes, to just give us a bit more grace. And if we say we need our space, please just honor that for us, because it's the best gift that you can give. And I also find that some things that didn't used to bother me are now starting to bother me more. There's things that are shelved away that have happened when I was younger. These are suddenly coming up at this stage of my life, and I find myself thinking, why is this bothering me right now? Why am I only thinking about this now? Certain traumas you may find that you had locked away and processed can start to seep back in. And this could just be your body saying, we need to clean up house, you need to fix things. And so you may find that you're dealing with a lot more emotions from the past, a lot more things from the past. And it's about, I think, knowing how to deal with those things, not shoving them away, because traumas and things like that do need to be processed. And sometimes trauma can remain frozen for years and years and years. What I do find is that as you're getting older, getting to middle age, getting towards your big 50, that things can start to seep back. And I think it is about just finding the right way of putting or dealing with those things and putting them to rest. The other thing that I've noticed about, being this age is also the fact that I'm a lot more authentic. When you've gone through your life trying to please everyone, trying to be, come across as being, PC, saying the right thing, doing the right thing, wanting that acceptance from people and that sort of thing. What I find at this stage of my life is that honestly, I couldn't care. I couldn't give a toss. I'm much more concerned about living authentically, much more concerned about what's true, what's right. For the first time in my life, I don't sit down and think, what are people going to think, right? Because it is my life. I only get to live it once. And people's opinions, that doesn't matter anymore. This can be really, really liberating. It can give you such a wonderful sense of freedom, but at the same time, it can alienate you from people, right? There are people who've thrived from you being quiet and you sweeping things under the rug and you're not dealing with things. And when you're suddenly at that stage of your life where you're confronting things, you're much more open about how you feel. People can go, oh, she's a bit over the top, or, and that's what I found. I can express myself, I can say how I feel, and not everybody's going to be happy about that, but if you're a woman who's going through that, for many people, it can be that sort of a thing where you kind of feel everyone's distancing themselves, everyone's alienating themselves because they're not used to the authentic you, right? They've been used to you being the kind of person that filters what they say. I mean, I'm not saying go around offending people, but all I'm saying is, be authentic, be yourself. Not everybody's going to like who you are. No one's going to like you. Not everybody's going to like your authenticity, but be authentic anyway. For me, I think that's been one of the most amazing and most liberating things, that I can now live life on my own terms without seeking permission to be myself. Okay. Physically, oh my gosh, I think I should leave this for another day. I think I'll end it on this note of, getting to your 40s, getting to, mid-age. Yeah, you do notice a lot of changes as a woman emotionally. You need to look after yourself. You need to give yourself self-care. Listen to your body, right? If your body's saying you need to have an early night, have an early night. The dishes can happen tomorrow. If your body's saying today you don't want to talk to anyone, stay home, send the family off and just look after yourself, do that. And what I'm finding is that I'm doing a lot more self-care. I'm giving myself a lot more time to just rest. When I talk about the physical side of being a middle-aged woman, I'll touch a little bit more on that, is that sometimes I wake up and my body doesn't want to move, right? It's not because I am being lazy or anything like that. I've got to listen to my body. And if it needs a rest, it's going to get that. So if you're a woman going through your middle age, please share in the comments how this is affecting you emotionally. What emotional changes are you noticing? How you're coping with those emotional changes? I do feel that sometimes it can be an isolating place to be because people don't understand you. People think you're having outbursts. People think you're being over the top. How are your emotions? Are you raging? Are you biting people's heads off? And I have to say, the hardest part about that is the guilt for me, because sometimes when I've had a proper explosive day, and then I recall and think, oh gosh, what a terrible mother I am, or what a terrible partner I am, or what a terrible person I am. So then you turn, to your, against yourself and start giving yourself a good bashing. But all I'm going to say is give yourself grace. Understand that there's changes happening. Hormones that you've had all your life are suddenly depleting, and so that's going to come with a lot of emotional changes and emotional volatility. So when you're going through all that, give yourself some grace. Thanks, guys. Comment in the section if you're going through this as a woman, or if you know someone that's going through this as a woman. I think, just knowing that you're not alone can make all the difference.